He is the first head of state from Latin America and the Caribbean to visit China this year. His country has designated the Spring Festival as a public holiday. He says that the Chinese have made tremendous contributions to the local economic development. He appreciates the opportunities brought by the joint construction of the Belt and Road Initiative to regional development. He is looking forward to deepening exchanges and cooperation between the two countries in multiple fields. President of the Republic of Suriname, Chandrika Prasad Santokhi, sits down for an exclusive interview.
Hello and welcome to Leaders Talk, where we meet leaders, thinkers, and trailblazers. I'm Bong Guan in Beijing. China and the South American country of Suriname seem to be going for a lot of firsts. Suriname was among the first countries in the region to recognize People's Republic of China decades ago. It was among the first countries in the region to join China's Belt and Road Initiative. And in fact, it was the first country in the Western Hemisphere to designate the Chinese New Year, aka Spring Festival, as a national holiday. What is behind such firsts, and where are bilateral relations headed? Here's my conversation with Mr. Chan Santokhi, the president of Suriname. President Santokhi, welcome to Beijing, China. China and Suriname seems to be getting a lot of firsts, if you think about it. Suriname was among the first countries in the Caribbean to recognize People's Republic of China, to join the Belt and Road Initiative, and it was the first country in the Western Hemisphere to designate the Chinese New Year as an official national holiday. What do you think is behind such firsts in our connections?
Well, there is a third first, and that is that my country, which was the first country where the Chinese people came 170 years ago.
To the Caribbean?
Yes, and my country was the first one. They have visited as indentured labor, yes. And from that moment, they stayed. And I think this is the most important reason why there is a strong bond between Suriname and China. The cooperation started 170 years ago based on people-to-people contact. And from that people-to-people contact, the business started in Suriname, community business, grocery business, small and medium enterprises. After the independence of my country, that the diplomatic relations started between Suriname and China because of the history, because of the bond, because of the people-to-people contact and business. After the diplomatic relation, we entered a new era of cooperation. And that is why we should be the first in the Caribbean together as first country, the former cooperation, and also the first country to sign the Belt and Road Initiative.
Suriname is located in northern South America. It borders French Guiana to the east, Brazil to the south, Guyana to the west, and the Atlantic Ocean to the north. Suriname covers an area of 164,000 square kilometers, with a high forest coverage rate of 93.2%, making it the country with the highest forest coverage rate in the world. From the arrival of the first Chinese people in Suriname 170 years ago to the Chinese becoming an important part of Suriname's multicultural society, the deepening friendship between the two countries has overcome their geopolitical distance. In 2015, the Spring Festival became a permanent public holiday in Suriname. In 2019, China-Suriname bilateral relations were upgraded to a strategic partnership. And in 2020, the two countries have sealed a visa waiver pact. Today, the indissoluble bond between Suriname and China carries on.
So do you celebrate the Chinese New Year, President Santokhi?
Yes, we're celebrating nationwide. All the groups. Suriname is a very diverse community comprising of several cultural and ethnical groups, and we're celebrating it nationwide. It is also a national holiday. But in addition to that Chinese New Year, we are celebrating also other festivals, like the Moon Festival. We are also celebrating the Chinese Immigration Day. And last year was the anniversary year of 170 years arrival of the first Chinese in Suriname. So it was also a national holiday. We as nation, we had celebrated and that we had enjoyed. Also, the Chinese contribution to the Surinamese national culture. That on one hand, the Chinese community managed to keep their tradition, their history, their language, their food. On the other side, contributing to the Surinamese national culture and also contributing to the unity, the nation building, which is very important for the development of my country.
United yet unique fusion. That is a key identity observed by many of Suriname.
Yes. Particularly the culinary, that is well known by everyone who is visiting my country. And they are going back, that they have visited the country, but not only the culinary of the several cultural groups, but also the fusion of all the groups, which has created something special, a special taste, which no one can forget. And everyone remembering it, that taste was the best taste of my country.
How would you personally celebrate the Chinese New Year?
Well, I have a lot of Chinese friends, so we are celebrating it jointly. With this capacity as president, you're celebrating it formally with the Chinese community. There are a lot of associations in Suriname comprising of Chinese organizations. So you have to celebrate firstly with them, formally, addressing them. Secondly, you're also celebrating informally by visiting the Chinese families, the friends coming together. A lot of delicious food and drinks are offered. And we're sharing also our views on the Chinese New Year. This year is the Year of the Dragon, the meaning of the dragon, and the view for the Chinese community, also on the relation between Suriname and China, the role in the Surinamese community. So a lot of issues are discussed during this festival.
Mr. President, talking about Suriname's connection with China and perhaps your own connection with China, can I share with you an anecdotal fact?
Okay.
Your name, Santoki, translates in sound into Shandoji, which means abundant luck.
Great.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I have several definitions, so I'm now hearing another definition. And the most common one I'm hearing is it has to do with patience.
Talking about your state visit to China, you've met with President Xi. What do you think are the important outcomes of your state visit?
This state visit is an expression of the historical bond what we have as the 170 years of relation, 48 years of diplomatic relation, the Belt and Road. Also anniversary which we celebrated last month. I think this state visit is expressing that historical relation, but on the other side, it is also expressing that we two leaders and we two nations, and we can differ in size. There can be a long distance between Suriname and China, but that these two leaders are in fully agreement that the cooperation and relation should enter a new era, that it should be brought to another level, the next level. On one hand, confirming once again the cooperation in the traditional areas of cooperation, the culture, the trade, the business, the people-to-people contact, tourism. Other side, giving the new challenges in the world, that we need to identify new avenues of cooperation. And that happened.
Which may include?
Well, we signed a lot of agreements in the area of food security, that there is Chinese technical assistance program at this moment continuing in the district of Saramacca, where the technical team of China is using high-tech to develop the agriculture, but moreover, training the local community, how they can increase the food production, how new type of crops can be cultivated, which are having better quality, but which are also resistance against diseases. The other issue is the issue of climate change. Those are global issues. And I just had a meeting with the Forestry Corporation of China, where we agreed that we should have also cooperation in getting technical support and technical assistance for the forest, sustainable forest management and sustainable forest policy. As a country, we are a carbon sink nation, and 93% of our territory is covered with forests. We want to keep that, but we need that technical assistance. So those are the new areas of cooperation, but also based on the Ten Belt and the road to have new infrastructure programs and projects implemented in my country, and also putting the cooperation in a more regional perspective. Guyana and Suriname, on one hand belonging to South America, but on the other hand belonging to CARICOM, the Caribbean community, that we can function as a hub. And therefore we are building a bridge. We are requesting for financial support on building that bridge between Suriname and Guyana, which is not only a physical bridge, but a bridge for the regional integration of North and South America, a bridge to connect the Caribbean region with South America. Well, that is exactly the philosophy and belt and the road, and that is the request what we have. So these are the new areas of cooperation.
In May 2018, Suriname became the first Caribbean country to sign a Memorandum of Understanding on jointly building the Belt and Road cooperation with China. Under this framework, the two sides have not only developed major projects related to national development, but also carried out small projects that benefit the people, jointly creating a model of South-South cooperation. With a population of over 600,000, Suriname has over 200,000 rural residents. They live in scattered settlements, and tropical rainforests and rivers hinder communication. Infrastructures are somehow lagging behind, preventing many villagers from getting access to electricity.
Niet genoeg. Ik heb maar 1 paneel boven en het is niet genoeg om mijn vriezer aan te zetten, mijn tv, om kleren te wassen in mijn wasmachine. Het is niet genoeg. Ik heb maar 1 paneel boven.
Chinese builders are helping realize the dreams of the Surinamese villagers, making stable power supply accessible. In June 2023, a Chinese enterprise completed the construction of the first local hybrid power station. Currently, a second hybrid power station is under construction, with nearly 40% of the project completed. It's expected to be operational by the end of this year. The plan goes further to the 5th power station, supposed to be completed by the end of September 2025. The total generation capacity of these 5 stations can meet the power need of 14,000 villagers, 7% of Suriname's rural population.
You visited China. What impressions have China made on you back then versus making it on you right now?
Let me put it more specifically. I came firstly as Minister of Justice and Police in 2008, when I was Minister of Justice and Police, to discuss with the government of China on close cooperation, on establishing mutual legal cooperation, on establishing also agreement for extradition, training, etc. But in 2011, I was elected as the chair of the political party, the Progressive Reform Party, VHP. And in that capacity, as the newly elected chair, I brought a visit with party members to China, and there we had agreed to have close cooperation with the CPC, the Communist Party of China, And yes, we had workshops, we had training sessions, there were exchange of views, and that is what we need as small nation, as political party in Suriname. We have to deal with a multi-ethnic society, a multi-religious society, a multicultural society, small in size. But we can have exchange of view, how we are doing, and how the CPC is doing over here, and the role between political parties and government. We agreed as two presidents that we should bring our cooperation to a higher level, that we should expand our cooperation to new areas of cooperation, but moreover, that we shouldn't deal only with bilateral issues, but that we should discuss also regional issues. The cooperation between China and CARICOM, the cooperation between China and the Latin American Society, the CELAC, but also to support each other on global issues.
What is your biggest takeaway, Mr. President, from the Chinese path to modernization as in its development model?
China is a big nation, and we there as Suriname is a small nation, that we can differ in size and population, but we share the same values. We share the same views on how to preserve the planet, that we share the same views how we can deliver a contribution to get that peace and solidarity and prosperity for the mankind. And those things are also very important because it starts with sharing the view. And if we are in agreement, then we are taking the next step in taking actions. But I'm going back to Suriname with that view of a great leader. We had a formal meeting where we agreed on several areas to strengthen the cooperation.
Did you get a sense of his soul, so to speak?
Yes,
and, what do you think of him
and
as a leader?
Yes, and I think I told him also that there's a person here with a lot of wisdom, and there is no university of wisdom, but there's a person I'm seeing here with a lot of wisdom. And please, President, colleague, look how we can use this wisdom for the world peace, but moreover, love in the world.
Specifically, what kind of a person and a leader does President Xi strike you with through your formal interactions and, like you said, informal sessions?
Well, formally, you have met him very often on conferences. Formally, you see him on television, where he's giving formal statement, where he's taking formal position. Well, that is the picture what you have. But when sitting there, and to be very honest, I think I get all the things I wanted to hear from him. And those were international issues. Those were global issues. Those were the role of China within the framework of Latin America, his view on South America and Latin America, his view in bilateral relations with other big nations, you know, his view on the United Nations, his view on the threats in the world. And I notice his the spiritual side of him as a leader. And that is what I call the wisdom in him, which we need to utilize and bring to the world, and trying to influence the world with that wisdom.
So, Mr. President, during your meeting with President Xi, you said this about Taiwan. You said Suriname will firmly support China's efforts to reunify the country. Can you be more specific?
Since we took the former position as a nation, as an independent nation, Suriname, towards China 48 years ago, our position was quite clear and firm, that we will support the One China principle. That is also now, and that will be also our future position. And I have the confidence that we will manage to have that reunification with all the parts of China.
You said at the United Nations General Assembly last year that in the past 4 years, not much has changed for the better regarding the essential elements of peace, prosperity, and climate in the world. On the other hand, the challenges and crises have increased and deepened. In light of all these, how do you look at President Xi's initiatives on global development, security and civilization. And how do you think these Chinese conceptualizations are different from previous Western paradigm?
I think this is an example, once again, that President Xi is expressing that, yes, I went to the museum of the evolution of the Communism Party, and I was fully impressed. What was the history of the Chinese people, what China is now, the struggle, their hardships, and the fight for freedom, the fight for independence, and yes, to build a nation for all the more than 1 billion Chinese people. There can be, in a timeline, a strong focus on national issues, to unite, to reunite, to develop, to invest, to create at that time, one Belt, one Road in China first. But when you have reached that level as country, that you can be recognized as a leader, whether you like it or not, you will be called for taking responsibility as a new leader, a emerging country. However, a developing country like Suriname, I'm noticing that with that leadership, the President Xi Jinping is offering new types of development for the world, new global initiatives in the area of development, in the area of also reducing the poverty, in the area of security, the Belt and Road Initiative to bring prosperity, to increase connectivity, to have investment in all the regions. And I think that he is succeeding. And on the other side, more and more countries will follow the path of development based on this philosophy.
President Stantoki, thank you so much for this opportunity. Please come back and, should I say, come back often.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. People in Suriname pride themselves in having this united yet unique fusion identity, and the president of Suriname made no secret about that in the interview in that regard, and he looks forward to a strengthened role of his country in connecting China and the Caribbean and Latin American countries. Thank you for watching this episode of Leaders Talk. I'm Guan in Beijing. I'll see you again next time.